In Rivers State, the political space seems to be getting hotter with the 2023 elections less than 6 months away. The race to who becomes the next governor of the state, amongst other issues, have been at the front burner of the political space in the state. Now, joining us via Zoom to discuss these issues is former president, the movement for the survival of the Ogoni people, Legbosi Saro Yagbara. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning, and thank you for having me in your studio.
Right.
Well, it's very interesting, this dispensation of politics or cycle of politics in Rivers State, because for the first time, we will not have somebody from the Ekwere ethnic group as governor, because for APC, you have Fubara, I think it's not from Ekwere, I don't know where it's from. You have SDP, which is Magnus Abe, who is Ogoni. And we have Cole, who is Toyeko for APC, who is Calabari. Now, how did it get to this stage that Ekwere, who is supposed to be perhaps the dominant ethnic group in Rivers State by some reckoning, is out of contention? Hello?
Equator is presently out of contention because Equator had done almost 16 years back to back. 8 years of Rotimi Amechi, and then about years on Wiki. And of course, if you add about 6 months of Mr. Celestino Mejia, you will see that Equator has almost done 16 years. We've been doing almost 16 years plus. So at this point, I mean, it will be a whole lot of disservice and a lack of a sense of justice for any Equatorial man to be talking about, I mean, coming or going into the election in 2023.
Lack of a sense of justice. So what would be justice in your point of view for the people?
Well, as you know, I mean, society, I mean, for society to be stable and functional, society run on the wheels of justice, equality, and fairness. Any society that neglects these three ingredients of stability, as I said, society are run on the wheels of justice, equality, and of course, fairness. If these three are lost in any societal development, then that society is bound to have challenge in terms of instability, in terms of lack of accommodation, and of course, peace. Now, you come to a river state where, of course, you have three major ethnicities. The Jaws of River State, the Ogoni people, and of course, what's also referred to the Igbos of River State. Now, if you look at the history of River State from 1967 till date, you will see that these other ethnic groups have produced key officers or key leaders in what you may look at the four major areas of governance. At the governorship level, at the legislature, and at the judiciary. These other groups have produced. The Ogoni people are the only group in the present-day River State that have not had a shot at the governorship of River State, have not had a shot at the Speaker of the State House Assembly or the Chief Judge of the state. So in addressing injustice, you will look at the one that have been most disadvantaged. And when you look at it from that perspective, of course, the Ogoni people naturally, at this time, moving into 2033, have to be given or should be given the opportunity. Because in terms of everything, they are the most disadvantaged. And addressing every issue, you will start from the lowest to the up. I mean, you will start from those who are most disadvantaged before you move up. So, in as much as others are also making the clamor, the truth remains that in this whole equation analysis, which ethnic group in the River State at the moment have been well or far more generalized than others. If you're looking at that, if you're doing the lens of justice and equality and the sense of fairness to measure it, you will see that it is the Ogoni people that deserve the governorship position at this point in time.
All right, let us see. Talking about who deserves to be governor at this time, are there some unwritten codes or some unwritten agreements between the ethnic groups as to how to share this political office or how to rotate them in such a way that the sharing equation is balanced between all sides?
But there's a sense of, as I said, society around the wheels of justice. And when we talk about ethnic justice, Nigeria, just like the late, I will use, I have to say, is made of ethnic groups. And Nigeria can only be stable when all the ethnic groups in Nigeria have a sense of justice. There is not something written, but there is an understanding that for a stable and prosperous society, everybody in that society must feel and must have a sense of justice. Where that justice is absent, then there's going to be trouble. And that is why in the whole question of social engineering and political accommodation, you try to see how every group has to be carried along. And as I said, there cannot be effective participation without effective representation. No society runs without effective participation, working hand in hand with effective representation. And it's a common thing. Now, there are three ways of dealing with issues. Within the United Nations Human Rights Balance, we say positive discrimination. In our area, we say affirmative action. Affirmative action and positive discrimination are done to bring people who are disadvantaged in certain areas to be at the same level with those who are already advantaged. And if you apply the question of positive discrimination or affirmative action, then definitely you will look at those who have been disadvantaged. And as we say, it is not a new thing we are talking about here. In this country, we are currently practicing affirmative action, or you make obviously discrimination. First is the case of women. I mean, from Beijing, we talk about 35%. All that is being done to bring women to some level at par with men. That process has been going on. Then in Nigeria today, in the realm of education, there was a time when you already have over close to 1,000 in the entire southern Nigeria, and in the whole north, there are only 1 or 2 graduates. And what the nation state did, our nation came together and said, no, if we don't address this question of lack of education in this northern part of the country, then we are creating a doomsday in the future. And that is the reason why every attempt was made by the Nigerian nation state to bring down the cutoff marks for admission to university, the cutoff marks for admission to federal government colleges and unity colleges, all in the attempt to make sure that our brothers in the north catch up with those of us in the south in terms of education. The whole question of today, federal character, or even the question of quota system, federal character, are all being done to promote a sense of justice and equality. If you apply that in terms of education, you apply that in terms of political appointment, then definitely you must also apply it in the distribution of political offices. So what the people are talking about is not new. We're only saying that you've applied this before. You apply affirmative action in the education sector. You apply it in federal character principle in the political. Now we are saying, for the purposes of keeping this country together and bring everybody to have a sense of accommodation and justice, we are also practicing north and the south. Today it is north, tomorrow it is south. It's all about promoting a principle of equality and sense of justice. And so if you are doing a national level, we're also saying you can also do it here at the state level. If some communities or some ethnicities have enjoyed certain position for some time, then it is now time for the Ogoni people who have not also had the same opportunity to also try it, also be given the opportunity. That is the first case. Beyond that, if you look at the national argument, there was a time in this country when two main issues dominated the Nigerian political space. And that was the issue of the annulment of June 12 election in 1993, and of course, the Ogoni crisis. These were the two issues that almost brought Nigeria to its knees. Of course, it was even the Ogoni issue that added more credence to the clamor for return to democracy. Now, after the hanging of the Ogoni 9, Nigeria was suspended from the Commonwealth of Nations. The European Union recalled all the ambassadors of Nigeria. In fact, Nigeria became a pariah in the international community because of the Ogoni issue and because of the annulment of June 12 election. When we returned to democracy in 1998, you can agree with me that the political elites of Nigeria came together and said, we need to address the Yoruba question as we move into democracy. Because of the annulment of June 12 election, which was believed to have been won by a Yoruba candidate. To promote a sense of justice and equality, we must return power to Yoruba as we march to 1999. And that was why the political elite made a conscious effort to say, allow other Yorubas to get into this race. And that is how President Olusegun Obasanjo emerged as a candidate of the People's Democratic Party. That is how Olufalai from the AD emerged as a joint ticket under AP, AD, and the APP. In fact, and that is how APP and the AD marched together and produced a joint candidacy in the person of Olufalai. So at the end of the day, we have two candidates from the two major parties, only from the Yoruba race. So that if A wins or B wins, is a Yoruba candidate, or Yoruba candidate, and that's how Obasanjo emerged. Now, that is the one leg of the issue that have been addressed. The other leg of the issue, which is the Ogoni issue, is still pending. And we are saying the opportunity that 2023 provides is for the Nigerian state and all of those who operate it to look at the Ogoni issue at this point. So as far as the Ogoni matter is concerned, you're looking at it from two different lenses. You're looking at it from the issue of justice, looking at the contest that we find ourselves between 1993 and 1999. And then on the other front, you're also looking at the question of rotation among the ethnic groups in Rivers State, which has been what has been going on over the years. And we are saying it is now time for you to look at the Ogoni way. In my capacity as president of MOSOP, I know that we engage with all the actors, including the current governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, who promised that at the end of this time, this thing will be going to Ogoni. The same thing Amechi promised as the own time when he leaving office, that by the time he leaves office, when he leaves office, he will lead the Ogoni campaign for government. So within these two parties or two personalities, they already know it was time to shift this thing to Ogoni. But because of political imperatives, they are not doing so. And we are saying it is time to look at the Ogoni way as we move to 2023.
Right. So what's going on? Why is it that even as we speak, there are contentions within the political space, and Ogoni people have to go to an SDP in person of Magnus Abbey before they can even get a candidate? Is it that the Ogoni people, you were president, are not pushing enough, are not engaged enough, that the governors will promise and then they will renege on their own promises?
But I think that is what you also helped me to find out. That is what you helped me to find out from them.
Go ahead.
No, that is the mystery that we are trying to unravel. That after the Ogoni people have given support, not just support, many of the incidents that have been going on in Rivers State, Ogoni people have been putting their life on the line. In 2019, a full graduate, Dr. Ferry Berebe, sacrificed his life for the PDP. In 2014, of course, all the shooting, all the killing that happened because of the political development, all happened in Ogoni. So if you look at it, you see that the Ogoni people have made enormous sacrifice to keep democracy in Rivers State working. But we don't know why that has not produced the sort of result that we wanted. But that is not the issue. The issue remains that at this point, The two or so-called dominant parties have refused to look at the Ogoni way. And of course, the parties that have done so, of course, the Ogoni people have to be encouraged to put all their support in those areas. For us,
All right, then we had our guest, Legbosi Saru Piagbara. He is the president of the movement, or the former president, rather, of the movement for the survival of Ogoni people. He has been speaking with us on the matters of the Ogoni people. Legbosi, are you there? I hear you're back online.
yeah, I'm with you.
All right, please go ahead. You were on a line of thought earlier before the line went off.
No, no. What I'm saying is that as far as we are concerned, the Ogoni people have made tribe in Rivers State. In all the parties, they put down their life. Of course, in 2019, we lost a prominent young guy, Dr. Fred, 2013 to 2015. We know the animals' life that are good because whenever they're going to believe in something, they are always ready to put down their lives. And they demonstrated it across the Ogoni struggle. They demonstrated it even in the period of politics. And we feel that it is now time for the Ogoni people to be rewarded for all the sacrifices across the question of stabilizing democracy in Nigeria today. As I said earlier, without the Ogoni crisis, I don't think we would have been well to in democracy. It was the Ogoni struggle that generated the international same struggle that Nadeko enjoyed. It was the Ogoni crisis that gave the United Nations, the Commonwealth of Nations, all of them, the reason why they need to be involved in the Nigerian political struggles. So it is now time for the Nigerian state, and Rivers State in particular, to at least reward the Ogoni people for development in the country, and of course, all they do that also strengthen the cause of democracy in Nigeria and in Rivers State in particular.
Perhaps this is why Senator Magnus Abe has said that he wants to wrestle the soul of the state, and he moved to the SDP. We all know that he was formerly with the APC, and he was a former ally of Rotimi Amechi. And a lot of persons are saying that this move, it might be a tough call for him come the governorship election when the time comes. Legbosi, are you there?
Yeah. For all, I mean, the party is a vehicle to move Rivers State forward. I think at this point in time, we are going to look at the person. Those who are presenting themselves to Rivers people, do they have the capacity to turn around the state? Do they have the reach? Do they have the acceptance? I think these are what will dominate 2023. I mean, as a whole, as a country, I don't think party has delivered us. What we need at this point is the pedigree, the quality, the reach, and the accommodating ability of the contestants. And I think that the Ogoni people have that in abundance. Senator Magnin also have that in abundance. So for us, I think we are presenting some of our best Rivers people to look at. This time around, I don't think that party will determine who emerges so much. It is more about the candidate, the experience of the candidate, the quality of the candidate, the capacity of the candidate, the knowledge of the candidate. The candidate is able to mediate between international and local in order to move the state forward. They can have the accommodation to carry everybody along. I think that is where 2023 is going. So it is not about accountability, it's about the quality, the experience, the capacity to tackle the myriad of issues that we face. Today, of course, the world is bored under three major crises. We have the planetary crisis, the climate change, we have that relating to the biodiversity loss, we have that relating to pollution, we have that relating to insecurity. All these things, and you need people that have the capacity to take on these issues head on. And that is why for us in Ogoni, I think we have people with that sort of capacity in abundance. And that is why we are clamoring that it is time to look the Ogoni way, because perhaps we have the miracle one to turn around things in Rivers State.
All right, let us see. Can you make us understand, for those who are not conversant with the makeup of politics in Rivers State? Oh, you've mentioned the tribes. You talked about the Ogoni, Ikwere, and even the Igbo-speaking side of Rivers State. Now, what are the advantages and edges they have against each other? Who has the population? Who has the economic power? Who has all of those? So that you can carry everyone along who is not conversant with the politics and the makeup of River State.
But as I said earlier, I said we have three major ethnicities in River State. We have the Jaws.
Leknosi, are you there?
Yeah. As I said earlier, I said we have three major ethnicities in River State. We have the Jaws of River State, which are largely made up of the Calabaris, the Okirikas, the people from Bobo, and all that. They are the Jaws of River State. You have the Ogoni ethnic group, as I stated earlier, and then how do you call the Igbos of River State, which is of course the Queres, the Chase, and all that. They are the Igbo different variations of the Igbo group in River State. Now, if you look at these groups, as I said earlier, from 1967, each of these groups have produced governor at one point or the other. We had a DSP who was on the job of River State, who started the battle from 1967 to 1975. When we returned to democracy in 1979, of course, he had an Okilo who took over then from 1979 to 1983. Now, when you move to 1991, you have the job from Okirika in every roof of other jobs who led the state. Within the time of the military, in fact, we have two from the job areas who were appointed military administrators. We have got Ibn Prince, who was the governor of River State. We have Kalio, who was the first governor of Yobe State. These are all people that are from the riverine area. So they have tested this. On the Igbos of River State angle, of course, as I said, Rotimi Mechi is from Ikwere, Celestino Meya from Ikwere, Yenson Wike from Ikwere, Dr. Peter Adley is from Ndoni, same Igbo-speaking areas of River State. Now, if you look at that whole equation, it's only the Ogoni people that have not produced governor in River State.
How many local governments? Let us see. How many local governments do the Ikwere, the Igbo-speaking, occupy, and how many local governments do the Ogoni and Ijo occupy? Can you give us a sense of that balance?
Yeah. As far as the issue of population is concerned, I mean, the current population of River State, Ogoni people form the second largest, after the Ikwere and all that, Ogoni people form the second largest ethnic group in the state. So in terms of demography, even the Ikwere only contestable, because when they look at Port Harcourt City and Emoha, these are largely local government that are dominated by outsiders. So at the end of the run, you may still see that Ogoni remain one of the dominant, if not the dominant, as far as demography of the state is concerned. So, and that is the issue we raise. An ethnic community, one of the largest in the state, not the largest in the state, have been denied these political offices. And we are saying, anyhow, you look at even in terms of demography, the remain of the largest, if not the largest.
Agbosi, are you still there?
Very closely remain the dominant ethnic group in the state.
Are you still there?
I guess the
network.
signals from where he is interfering.
So much.
But you see, from what he's saying, if you take a look at many of the states have the same kind of situation. If you go to Delta, there's that's balance, that imbalance is there. You go to Edo State, it's the same. Go to Kogi State, go to Benue State. They have all of these things where ethnic groups that are larger tend to, dominate, and then the ones that are maybe relatively less in the number of local governments and maybe demographic spread, are agitating and talking about marginalization and all of that. So that is why someone would say that this issue of balkanizing Nigeria, or whatever some people say, is not really the solution. Because when you do, if at all it happens that way, then you begin to see that even within the Yoruba-speaking area that seems to be homogeneous, then you will know the difference between the Egba person
to your tent.
Exactly.
So invariably, we cannot achieve a balance, but we need to give people a sense of belonging.
Sense of belonging, fairness, justice, and all of that. Because at the end of the day, like we have said with Uncle Sam on this show sometime, in all of the states that have produced presidents, they are not better off than other states at all,
Absolutely.
since independence until now.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not about who is the governor, who is the local government chairman. What have they done? At the end of the day, when you see, if we all get what we're looking for, nobody will even care who is the president or who is the governor or who is the local government chairman. That's what the thing is. But because the resources are scarce, people are not getting what they want or what they deserve, as the case may be. So that little one that comes from politics somehow will matter a lot, because they feel that is where all the resources are concentrated.
It is to the elitization of politics, where you feel that, okay, if the bread and the wine do not come down to us, at least if my person is there, if he eats it, I will feel like, I'm eating it too, even though I have no taste
I don't have
wine,
a taste of it.
I don't have a taste of bread. So that is an act of civic surrender, actually, where people think that when my man is there, something is good for me. It happened during the time of Jonathan, when many people in the Just-speaking area and even in the Igbo land were very happy to co-opt Jonathan as one of their persons. But during Jonathan's time, there was no great development in their area, but they still loved the man. You see, it's part of the disconnect between hero worshipping and personal welfare. We have not reached that stage where we will say, the man we put there deliver for us. He doesn't even deliver for his own ethnic group. Look, we've had more leaders from the north than in the south, and you have more poverty in the north than in the south. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. But this is what is going on in Rivers. That's why it's good that we are going to zero in on Rivers, and we'll do that to a number of other states too. Like the Ogonis are said to even have more people than even the Queries. But the Queries tend to get the sense that they have more people because they are in Port Harcourt, and in Port Harcourt is metropolitan. You have people from the east, you have people from Delta,
just like Lagos.
Just like Lagos.
Yeah,
yes.
we heard Legbosi is back, so you might want to show some one question to him.
Yes, Legbosi, this issue of Ogoni numbers and the numbers not paying off to you people, how is it that you guys have not been able to even get the ticket? I don't know where Fubara is from, but I know Fubara is not Ogoni. And of course, Cole is not there. Magnus is in a party that he probably would not have gone to if he didn't go into a fight with Rotimi Amechi and others in APC, because he's an APC man. And that's another point with him too. He's an SDP, but he's supporting the APC presidential candidate. I hope he will come back and come here and resolve that apparent tension in it. But why is it that you guys cannot even bypass the governors who have promised and failed and go into alliances with key players in the Igbo-speaking areas of the state, with the Queries and others, and also with the Just-speaking areas, and let them agree. Why is this? I think so. This man, Kensarawiwa, fought, did a lot of battle on a national scale, but even on a local scale, you guys cannot get traction.
Well, I think that there are two things here, and you will agree with me that since you returned to democracy, what we have today as Nigeria's version of democracy is a great one. We've not yet arrived at the point where we can beat our chest to say that we have democracy in Nigeria. What we currently have is a personification of the state, and that personification of the state had moved into all the structure of political governance. So now, political parties are built around the governor or whoever is the politician that is holding a political office. And in that circumstance, democracy had not thrived well because we are personifying a person with state apparatus. And that's what we've had so far. Personification of the state and its apparatus is what is making one man to sit down in his parlor and believe that he can decide who succeeds in, and not the people. So long as that issue of personification continues, even a majority tribe will find it difficult to get that sort of political space. Because somebody sits down in his house and says, this is the person I'm going to hand over to. So in order to move forward in our democracy, we must demystify the whole question of personification of the state. So long as the state is being personified around one single individual, we'll continue to have the challenge that perhaps the good people are having. If we are having a true democracy where election matters, where everybody comes out to vote based on their number, definitely the scenario we have will not be the same. Because party politics today in Nigerian democracy is built around some key actors in politics who decide who takes what and who don't take what. That is also part of the reason why maybe Senator Magnus about all the crises they are in APC. Of course, you mentioned it. They had the fight with the Rotimi Amechi. It's all because people are not allowing internal democracy to flow in the party. If internal democracy was being allowed, definitely the situation will not be the same. It would have been a contest between the more popular candidate and the rest. In this circumstance, not just in Rivers State, but the nation as a whole, we are still having crises with internal democracy in our party, and of course, the whole question of personification of the state. Then the second issue I want to raise is when people talk about, oh, we can just subsume ethnicity and move on, it is going to be difficult because that identity is there. We cannot erase that identity. I would like one thing that, the late Awolowo said, that you cannot be a good member, you cannot be a good Nigerian without being a good member of any group. You must start there from first. So then people just look at issue of ethnicity as a bad thing. No, it has all been the way that the different political offices are made people feel that because if you are aligned to one party or any group, you can get something. But look at it, the whole of United Kingdom today. We have the English, we have the Welsh, we have the Scottish, we have the Irish. They are all different ethnic groups because we call our ethnic group to demonize it, and they call their own nationalities. These are different ethnic groups. And they are always
Again, some network challenge there. Legbosi Saru Piagbara speaking with us on why issues regarding the Ogoni people must be resolved this time around with regards to the 2023 elections. I really wanted to hear what their plans are, how they were going to ensure that this time around the Ogoni people have a say and have a stake in the governorship elections in Rivers State. I really would have loved to hear that from him, but the network did not allow that. We have been speaking with former president, the movement for the survival of the Ogoni people, Legbosi Saru Piagbara.
I would have also wanted to know what was going to happen with the PDP candidate, whether they're going to use incumbency against other candidates. But the PDP candidate, Fubara, is nowhere to be found because he's being hunted about by EFCC over corruption allegations and all of that. Some people are saying that the man is staying out, and we wonder how he's going to do his campaigns. Some people are speculating that they believe that he will win and he will get into office the way Oji, Theodore Oji got into office in Abia State. They will swear in, in secret, and then he can come out in public. With immunity, and then become governor from there on. So those are some of these. I wanted to get his thoughts on that possibility, because the man is watching his movement according to what they say, because EFCC says they are coming after him to answer charges.
Yeah. Well, if you look at it, like the question you had, how come that the Ogonis have not gotten this all the while? This is a question that we also put to,
especially with their numbers.
Yeah, with their numbers and all of that, and even the Ken Saro-Wiwa has a lot of people who had not known River State, who had not, Ken Saro-Wiwa popularized,
knew the state because of Ken
drew
Saro-Wiwa,
attention of the world to River State. Now, that is a question that we also will ask to all of the various smaller ethnic groups in all of that states.
Yeah.
When it comes to alignment, because when you know that, okay, by numbers or demography or one or two things, you may not have the advantages others have. Now, there has to be a strategic, intentional alignment and realignment, an engagement in that regard, where, okay, we've not had this over the years. How do we work deliberately towards having this as we get along?